What if I told you? The company that's beating Tesla was once a tiny battery factory with no experience in cars, no global reputation, and almost no money. Not Detroit, not Silicon Valley, not Germany, China. And the company? BYD. Today, BYD sells more electric vehicles than anyone else on Earth. It's expanding into Europe, challenging Japan, pressuring America, and rewriting the global auto industry. But its story didn't start with cars. It started with batteries, a bold founder, and a decision that almost everyone thought was insane. This is the complete history of BYD. The man who bet on batteries. The story begins in 1995. A 29-year-old chemist named Wang Chuanfu had an idea. At the time, Japan dominated rechargeable batteries. Companies like Sony were global leaders. China? Almost irrelevant. Wang believed he could change that. With a loan of roughly $300,000 and a small team in Shenzhen, he founded BYD. The name stood for Build Your Dreams. Ambitious, almost unrealistic. Instead of expensive automation like Japanese factories used, Wang relied on manual labor. Thousands of workers carefully assembling batteries by hand. It sounds inefficient. But in 1990s, China, labor was cheap. And this strategy worked. Within a few years, BYD became one of the world's largest producers of rechargeable batteries. They supplied companies making phones, laptops, and electronics worldwide. But Wang wasn't satisfied. He didn't want to supply the future. He wanted to build it. The crazy decision to buy a car company. In 2003, something shocking happened. BYD bought a failing state-owned car company called Xi'an Qinchuan Automobile. Remember, BYD had zero experience building cars. Critics laughed. Investors were nervous. Engineers were skeptical. Analysts said it was reckless. But Wang saw something others didn't. He understood one key fact. The future of cars would be electric, and electric cars run on batteries. BYD already mastered batteries. So why not control the entire vehicle? It was vertical integration before it became trendy. The first cars BYD produced were gasoline vehicles. They weren't revolutionary. In fact, some were criticized for resembling other brands. But behind the scenes, Wang was investing heavily in electric drivetrain research. He wasn't playing for the present. He was playing for 20 years ahead. Warren Buffett's bet. In 2008, something happened that changed everything. Warren Buffett, through Berkshire Hathaway, invested $232 million into BYD. At the time, most Western investors barely understood Chinese automakers. But Buffett saw potential. This investment gave BYD global credibility, financial strength, massive attention. And suddenly, the world started paying attention. That same year, BYD introduced one of the world's first mass-produced plug-in hybrid vehicles. They weren't perfect. Range was limited. Technology was evolving. But they were early. Very early. The long, difficult middle. The 2000s and 10s weren't easy. Sales fluctuated. Competition increased. Quality concerns emerged. Meanwhile, in the United States, Tesla was rising fast under Elon Musk. Tesla became the symbol of EV innovation. BYD, still seen as a Chinese domestic brand. But here's what most people missed. BYD was dominating electric buses. Cities across China adopted BYD electric public transport. Soon, BYD buses were operating in Europe and even the US. They weren't chasing headlines. They were building infrastructure. And they kept improving battery chemistry. This is where BYD made one of its most important breakthroughs. The blade battery revolution. In 2020, BYD unveiled the blade battery. Instead of traditional lithium-ion cell structures, BYD developed a lithium iron phosphate design that was safer, more stable, less prone to thermal runaway, longer lasting. They famously demonstrated a nail penetration test, showing the battery resisting fire. Safety became their weapon. And in a world increasingly concerned about EV battery fires, that mattered. Then came the turning point. Overtaking Tesla. By 2022 and 2023, BYD's momentum exploded. China became the largest EV market in the world, and BYD was perfectly positioned. They produced affordable EVs, premium models, plug-in hybrids, electric buses, even battery supply for other brands. Unlike Tesla, BYD controlled nearly every component internally. In 2023, BYD surpassed Tesla in total electrified vehicle sales globally. For the first time, the narrative shifted. The EV race was no longer America versus legacy automakers. It became China versus the world. Global expansion. BYD didn't stop in China. They expanded into Norway, Germany, UK, Australia, Southeast Asia, Latin America. European automakers grew concerned. Trade tensions increased. Governments debated tariffs, because this wasn't just about cars anymore. It was about technological dominance. BYD was exporting not just vehicles, but battery ecosystems. The bigger strategy. What makes BYD dangerous isn't just volume, it's strategy. They build batteries, semiconductors, electric motors, software, vehicles all under one roof. Vertical integration gives cost advantage, supply chain control, faster innovation cycles. While others rely on suppliers, BYD manufactures its own future. The rivalry that defines an era. In 1995, BYD was assembling batteries by hand in a small factory in Shenzhen. Across the Pacific, a completely different story was unfolding. A future that would be defined by two radically different philosophies. On one side, Silicon Valley ambition, software-first thinking, relentless disruption. On the other, industrial precision, vertical integration, scale at unimaginable speed. You already saw what happened when Tesla almost collapsed, and then came back swinging. But while Tesla was fighting for survival in the late 2000s, BYD was quietly building something deeper, not just cars, an ecosystem. While Tesla built the brand, BYD built the supply chain. While Tesla focused on premium disruption, BYD mastered cost control and manufacturing dominance. Two companies, two strategies, one electric future. And now, they've collided. Tesla still leads in global influence, software, brand power. But BYD leads in scale, battery production, and total electrified vehicle volume. This isn't just competition, it's a clash between two economic models, America's innovation engine and China's manufacturing machine. And the real question isn't, who will win? It's this: can legacy automakers survive either of them? Because if Tesla forced the industry to change, BYD is proving that change can be industrialized. And if you've watched our Tesla breakdown, you know how close that company came to disappearing. Now imagine what happens when a company that never nearly died starts dominating. The EV revolution isn't a single story, it's a trilogy. First, Tesla proved electric cars could be desirable. Then, Tesla proved they could survive. Now, BYD is proving they can scale globally. And this is only the beginning.